Oh, hello. Seem to have caught me in my study on my downtime. In between projects, I like to read some of the classics. Speaking of classics, there's just something about the fundamentals of biochemistry that reminds me of a play I had recently read called The Man in the Case. This was written by Anton Chekhov in 1898, of course, and it would turn out to be the first of 3 plays in what will be later called the Little Trilogy. In this play, it starts off with 2 characters, one named Varenka, the other named Balenkov. Varenka rides in town on a bicycle and talks to her love, Balenkov. So, something that I was considering is for a play with only 2 characters, who could be considered the protagonist? And there are many different arguments for both, but I think Balenkov, although perhaps not the most likable of the 2, is the protagonist. And that's because he satisfies more so of the 6 elements of a protagonist. First, audience identification is arguably the hardest one for him. He's very gruff with Varenka, especially for someone who seems so nice. And sometimes that's off-putting. But I think there are elements of Balenkov that audiences can see themselves in, such as his modesty when she brags to all of the townsfolk about how educated he is. He stays humble. He also is just wanting a future like everyone else, just like Varenka is, and that's part of the reason why they're together. I think we do see some growth in Balenkov throughout this play, especially when talking to Varenka. At first, he doesn't seem to want anything to do with anything she wants to do, but then towards the end, we see him dancing with her. We even see him put flowers in his hair and then mark on the calendar so that he remembers to do that once a year on that day. In his crisis mode, which is when he finds out that Varenka rode a bike into town, he takes action and he tries to assess the situation, how many people saw her riding this bike, and then tries to rectify the situation by getting the bike returned to her brother's house where Varenka got this bike. The sacrifice he makes, although it may not seem like a lot, he first chooses to ride the bike back for Varenka because he doesn't want her seen riding this bike, and he doesn't want her to have to walk the mile to her brother's house. That would take way too long. So he just volunteered to ride it there and then walk back because deep down I think he's a really nice guy. In the death scene, although we don't see a character physically die, I think we see part of Balenkov's love for Varenka die when he tries to ride the bike and falls off of it, and she starts mercilessly laughing at him. She laughs so hard that at least part, if not all, of his love for her, I believe, died. Because then we see him tell her to take the bike back to his brother's house, walking it, and then he ripped up the note, reminding him to put the flower in her hair. And finally, I think that he's a fish out of water, probably mostly in society, although we can't tell because we've never seen him out with anyone but Varenka, but especially with Varenka because she is so much more energetic and lively and nicer than he is. And I think that he doesn't feel like he belongs that way, I would think, especially in society, just because I think more people are closer to the lines of Varenka than he is. As far as my thoughts on the play, I thought it was okay. I thought I was going to be bored when I found out there's only 2 characters, but I think that the length of it is good. So 2 characters for such a short play is fine. And to be honest, I like Balenkov's style. I like a guy who knows what he wants. He's got a schedule. He's responsible. And I really respect how much he hates people, it seems like, and it resonates that with me. So, if I would recommend this book to anyone, I think that if you just think that women are obnoxious and have it too good and need to listen to the men, then I would perfectly recommend this book. It's great. If you like women and how they're treated, this book might be a little stressful for you. If you excuse me, I think my maid just spilled some lemonade on the carpet. Jesus Christ, Carla, what are you doing?